Hi everybody, and welcome to Email Marketing. This is part of Marqui's Back to Basics webinar series, where we take a look at some of the core concepts of digital marketing. So today we're going to be focusing on email as a marketing platform. But before we get started, just a couple of quick things. If you're unfamiliar with the interface that we're using with GoToWebinar, this is what the controls look like. You can use the little orange arrow at the top there to move the interface out of your way so you'll be able to see my lovely slides as I go along. And if you have any questions along the way, feel free to just pop that webinar interface back open and type them into the question box. Those will show up on my screen, and at the end I've got a little bit of room for Q&A. So the whole webinar shouldn't take longer than 20 or 25 minutes. We might go as late as a half an hour if we have a lot of questions at the end. Otherwise, thanks for coming. Hope you stick around and learn a bit about email marketing. So this is me. My name's Adam Coble. I'm the manager of digital services here at Marqui. I've been part of the team since late 2007, and right now at the organization, my primary responsibilities are client success, account management, and strategy and execution. So, I do a lot of hands-on work with the Marqui software suite and with our clients in helping them with training. I'm usually the first person that a new Marqui client will talk to, and I perform all of the sort of onboarding responsibilities, making sure that our clients are kind of up and running with the software as soon as they can be. And then for ongoing campaign strategy and execution, so helping folks plan their email marketing, their digital marketing campaigns of all sorts, and helping them execute them online. So this kind of stuff is my meat and potatoes. This is my jam. So I want to share some of the things that I've learned about email marketing with you. So just to make sure everybody's in the right place, this is what you might have seen on your way to our webinar. You probably got an email from us, or maybe you were forwarded an email from someone that you work with or a friend, and you fill out a form on our website, and that form processed your information to us. We signed you up for the webinar, and you got a confirmation email. So this is the first step in our email marketing process for this particular campaign. I'll touch a little bit on the end at what you can expect communication-wise from Marqui, and how you can tailor your communications that you're getting from us as you go along. So depending on how you like this webinar, you can decide if you want to learn more about different topics from Marqui, sign up for our newsletter, that kind of thing, and I'll show you how to do that near the end of the webinar, like I mentioned. So on the agenda today, it looks like a lot of stuff, but we should be able to kind of get through this stuff quite quickly. I just want to give you a basic understanding of what email marketing is, the kinds of things that you can do with email marketing, and what maybe the components there are to different kinds of campaigns, why you would do email marketing in the first place. So what's in it for you as a business. Some tips on maintaining a successful email marketing campaign, dealing with spam concerns, getting content to the right people, and integrating, and this is a big one, integrating email with the other digital marketing initiatives that you might be participating in, because integration is huge. It's a very important piece of your digital marketing system, and we care a lot about it here at Marqui, so I'm going to cover some information about that. Then we'll have some time at the end for a Q&A, and I'll talk to you about what might be next for Marqui and for you. So just to kind of get us started, let's talk a little bit about what email marketing is. It's one of those terms that kind of gets thrown around as a subset of digital marketing, which it is. Obviously, it fits into the same infrastructure and ecosystem as your web marketing or your social media marketing. Email marketing is a little bit, and it's sort of disingenuous to say this, but it's a little bit old school in terms of digital marketing. It's not the new baby of social necessarily, but it feels a lot like direct mail marketing in some ways. And if this is a discipline that you're already familiar with, if this is something that your organization is comfortable with, you're already doing direct mail or traditional marketing, email marketing is just another sort of step in the same direction, but with a lot more added value in terms of ROI and being able to determine your success rates on some of this stuff. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a later slide. But really, email marketing means any kind of marketing that you're doing using email as a platform. And there's a bunch of different types of email marketing that you might run into. This is sort of a truncated list of the email marketing campaigns you might have in your digital marketing arsenal. So the most basic type of email marketing is a response email. So it's a reaction to a client or lead behavior. Someone comes to your website, or they give you a business card at a trade show. They perform a simple behavior, and you respond. So these are things like welcome messages on sign-ups for newsletters, their customer support email responses to form fills. They're a general blast you might send out to your new leads from that trade show. Really simple. There may not be any kind of response required from your recipients, but they're content focused. They're generally short and to the point. So the next step up in complexity from there would be an informative email. Primarily information-based. There's not a lot of sort of campaign going on here. You're maybe not asking for a behavior again. These are things like newsletters, for example, or generalized sort of thought leadership information. So if you've got a white paper that you're distributing to a list, or you've got a regular donor newsletter that you send out, that's what this kind of email is. So the purpose of this sort of email is to build trust in your brand as an email marketer, right? And I'll repeat this point kind of throughout, but content is the most important part of email marketing, and an informative email without any kind of sales pitch is really great as a tool to build trust in terms of you're sending valid, valuable information to your database. So sparkling these out throughout your campaign model is really important, making sure you have these sort of informative emails. The most common email type, though, is this next one, this sort of one-stage blast email. It's a term that I don't really like very much, like blast. It's a fairly common one. It's one I'm sure everyone's heard before because it sounds unpleasant, and no one wants to get blasted with email, right? It sounds great if you're the one doing the blasting, but if you're getting email shot at you, it doesn't sound like much fun. So you can reduce that impression of being targeted, of being, again, there's a lot of like sort of military terms in email marketing. I think it's sort of a lexicon that's infected the way we think about email, and the blast email is the ultimate sort of vision of that. It's a one-off, single-purpose campaign, generally with a reason to convert, a thing to do. You all got one of these ostensibly when I sent my invitation to this webinar. You can make these feel a little safer, a little less blasty by making sure that the content is valuable, right? Like a webinar invitation is sort of the least violent form of blast email. Generally, you want to avoid emails that are like, buy this product. Here's a photo of the product. It's great. This is how much it costs. Go here to buy it. It's not very informative and not very friendly. You can do a lot with sort of one-stage emails, but they're a bit of a blunt instrument. I tend to prefer the next type of email, which is a multi-stage or Drape email. These are where you can take the same content that you might feel forced to cram into a blast email, and you can stretch them out over a series of emails. It's a long-term kind of nurturing protocol where if I've got a database of leads or interested folks, and they've all said, okay, we're kind of interested in what Marqui does, tell me more. I can drip out email to them slowly over time so that they eventually get the full picture, right? So it's not all at once. You're sort of dripping it out as you go, and it's really going to help nurture those leads rather than kind of overwhelm them. So what are the components of an email campaign? I mean, obviously there's the email itself, but if we break that down a little bit further, there's actually a lot more that goes into building a full-fledged email campaign, regardless of what type you have. I mean, you have the content itself, sure, and that's obviously the most important, the words and the images and the layout that go into building your email or emails if you have multiple in a chain, if you're using a drip campaign. But on top of that, there's also things like landing pages and goal pages. If you're looking to convert email subscribers, if you want to score them as leads, you want to improve your understanding of them, you're going to need a landing page and then a goal page for when they fill out that form. And there's all the components of the page itself. So the page's layout, the form on the page to capture information, links, a digital asset manager to hold whatever your essentially whatever you're giving them. So things like white papers or webinars, for example. So there's a lot of other stuff that supports that email content. Email content's in the middle, and then on top of that, you need a list of people to send your campaign to. Right? If you don't have subscribers, if you don't have segmented lists of people to receive these campaigns, then the email is not going anywhere to begin with. So, there's a lot to an email campaign. Let's take a look at a couple of examples. I'm a big fan of flowcharts. So let's look at one. So this is a really simple campaign. It has, as I mentioned, the email, which contains all of the content that you need. There's a link or multiple links in the email to one or more landing pages, and the landing pages will contain usually your slightly more aggressive message, right? So the email might be an invitation. The email is the bait, and the landing page is the hook, right? The email says, "Come to our website and check out this new video we've created about this topic," and the landing page says, "Okay, now that you're here, give me your email address and your name and the company you work for, and as a reward." On the goal page, you'll get to watch that video. The landing page is the part that really provides value for a marketer. It's where your conversions happen, and that's how that information gets processed. Right? It's the point of the email ultimately, from the marketer's perspective. From the visitor's perspective, from the person receiving your email, the email itself and the goal page are the really important parts because it's the invitation and the reward. Right? So learning where to weight that content, putting the value and putting the work in and knowing where the messaging really affects your flow is important, right? Because you want to give away not too much information in your email that people don't learn anything additional on the landing page or goal page. You want to keep some of that hidden, keep it a secret, really, because you're enticing people using that email. So these are the three components that basically every email that a marketer is using should have. The email itself, the landing page, and then the goal page where you reward your conversions. Now you can get more complicated than that, as you can see here. So this is a more complex campaign. I used my my webinar, for example, as a setup here for this one. So the original email, you get a click-through information to get you to a landing page. The landing page is where you sign up for the webinar, which will take you to the goal page. Maybe later you get a thank you email, or maybe the thank you email comes direct from the landing page. If you don't respond on the original email, maybe you get a reminder. So obviously all of you didn't get that reminder because you've come here, or you did and you signed up on that secondary email. And then I might have a third reminder further along or based on a behavior. So one might just be time, one might be behavioral. So if you clicked but didn't convert, you'll get this one. And if you neither clicked nor converted, you'll get this one. So you can have a whole bunch of different email components that are part of the same campaign. They all drive to that landing page. You can see the landing page is sort of the central piece early on. So as a follow-up, you get a thank you email. The thank you email might contain its own landing page. So if you signed up for the webinar, you might get an invitation to view previous webinars, so other webinars in our Back to Basics series. That would invite you to go to that landing page, sign up for that. You get to watch the webinar, and then later I might invite you to subscribe to a mailing list so you can get newsletter information from us. So you can see the difference. I'll go back to the earlier campaign. The same stuff is at the core, an email, a landing page, and a goal page. It's just a question of how much integration that you want to do. And this is, again, strictly email. Obviously, the web is a big part of how email campaigns function, but we're looking strictly at email campaigns as a model right now. Obviously, this landing page could be receiving traffic from other sources, but we'll talk a little bit about that when I get to the integration piece. So what I want to do now is I'll just take you to the next slide, and we'll talk about why you want to use email in the first place, right? Like maybe your website is doing fine gathering leads for you. Maybe you do all of your donation gathering in person or by direct mail. So you're thinking, like, why bother with email? People don't like email. It's spammy and no one reads it, and all of that is incorrect. Email is, first of all, cheap, like incredibly inexpensive, and it gets cheaper all the time. You know, fractions of pennies per email. So if you're doing expensive sort of one-off print campaigns, you can fulfill a lot of the same stuff with an email campaign for a fraction of the cost. You can also do a lot more experimentation because of it, right? Because it's cheaper. You don't have to worry about, well, you know, we have this campaign and maybe it's going to work, maybe it's not, but we just spent $26,000 on it, so fingers crossed that we make a deal. You know, it really lets you adapt to volume a lot better. So that's the bottom line, right? I mean, all these other points, they're great. They're icing on the cake. The cake being that email is cheap, it's inexpensive, which gives you a lot of freedom. But you know, on top of that, instant gratification. Who doesn't like that? In the age of the internet, being able to find out right away how people are responding to your campaign is great. It gives your marketing team a degree of flexibility and responsiveness you would never have before email was a tool. So send your email, know right away whether it works or not, and then fix it for the next time, right? And then that's addressing sort of my next point, is the process is iterative, right? You don't, nothing's written in stone, right? An email can be sent to your entire database with one general message, or you can break it down. You can iterate. You can A/B test. You can say, okay, email 1 has this phrasing, email 2 has this phrasing. We're going to send them out to random subsets of our database and see which one performs better. We can iterate content. We can say, okay, this email, while it's the same core message, we're going to brand it differently for different types of customer. You know, it's the experimentation thing. The whole idea that the internet is an experiment, a marketing experiment, right? And you can have that freedom because it's inexpensive and because it's so fast. It's engaging too, right? An email, like if I get a letter in the mail inviting me to do something, the level of offer has to be so high. Even if the process is the same, even if it's just go to sit down on my computer, I type in a URL, fill out a form, whatever, I engage with the brand in that way. An email is so much easier to casually engage with, and you can build that engagement over time by introducing things like click-through or conversion-based segmentation, by drip marketing based on target audience information. You know, you know so much more about the people getting your email than you do in traditional marketing, that you're able to customize that brand engagement. How do people engage with what you're saying, with your message, and what are they doing? And you can use that information to direct the engagement. And again, with the right tools, email marketing is really easy to integrate with whatever else you're doing. You know, you can take that data from email marketing and you can pass it on to other systems. You can use it to customize someone's web experience. You can integrate with social. It's part of an ecosystem, right? And that's, again, if you have the tools that allow you to do that, it's a fairly easy process. So just to kind of give you an idea of the information you can get from email, so the main key point for making it all work is understanding your metrics. So some common metrics that email systems use, and this is again basic stuff, read. So this can be read or confirmed. Usually what it means is the recipient of your email has gotten it, so it's arrived, and they opened it. So they took a look at it, but you know, maybe they haven't converted, maybe they haven't clicked through. There isn't a harder process for them to take there, but you know at least that they got it and that they've taken a look. This is the least useful metric. Often I find that clients get to a point where they can just sort of disregard it, because if someone's getting your email and they're reading it, sure, you might have as a content creator, a little warm, fuzzy feeling like, oh, someone read something I wrote, but it doesn't matter to a marketer, right? Not in any metric sort of sense. And that's where click-throughs and conversions come from. So a clicked response means that one of the links in your email, whether a direct marketing sort of big button saying click here, or one of the other links in the email, and a proper email system is going to give you what they clicked on, when they clicked it, how many times they clicked, And then from there, if they convert it. So the conversion is the money of an email marketing system. It's the purpose that for which you send it, right? Conversion is usually a form fill. It might also be a different behavior, but it's the behavior you want them to do. It's the filling out the form. It's the buying the product. It's they went for the bait, and now you got the hook, right? So on the flip side of those ones, you get bounced responses. So again, a good email system will let you know if a recipient bounced. They didn't get the email because they don't exist. So a hard bounce. Maybe you've got a bad address, or the data is just not good. So there's that, or a soft bounce, which is usually something like an out-of-office reply, or a temporary error in their email server. So a soft response, a soft bounce, you can mail them again. You can continue to mail those people. A hard bounce, I wouldn't bother. They're pretty much out of the game for whatever reason. So a well-defined email system, the right tool, will give you all this information as you go, so that every time you send an email, you can tell exactly how good it is, how well it's performing. So let's talk about spam for a minute. Spam is the fear that every email marketer has, and if you don't have it, if you're like, oh, my content isn't spam, you don't give it a second thought, you're going to want to, because what you might consider spam and what your email recipients consider spam might be a little bit different. So this is the S word, the terror of being an email marketer, and to avoid it, really the best place to go is your content. Like targeting that content, making sure that your content is designed for the right audience, that you're sending it to the right people, and that it's valuable, it's worth something. Don't make every email transactional. Make sure that you're providing value. Maintaining a good database, avoiding all of the sort of legalese and that stuff is all important, but content is what really matters. So some other tips for avoiding the spam trap, obviously, like I mentioned, relevant, target-focused content. Don't just blast your content out to everybody assuming that someone in that list will be, again, we'll go back to the military analogy, be a sniper, not a shotgun, right? You want to pick your target, and you want to make sure that they're getting exactly the right content for them. Keep in mind, too, when you're writing an email, take off your sales hat. Throw the sales hat in the garbage for now. Give it to somebody else. You can get it back later. Right now, when you're writing an email campaign, you're providing a service. You're doing something for your recipients. That's why they subscribed. They're paying you, not in money, not in deals, but in their information. They're saying, okay, I trust you with my email address. I mean, it's like giving someone, arguably it's more personal at this point than giving someone your phone number. Giving them your actual valid email address, that's a statement of trust, right? So repay that trust with service, with good content, with opportunities, not sales pitches. And then give them a way to break up with you without it being lethal, right? And what I mean by that, by non-lethal way out, is you're legally obligated to provide an unsubscribe link. I mean, depending on where you're doing business, but spam legislation will vary depending on where you're from. But that unsubscribe link is a ripcord. It's a cyanide capsule. It's a way to say, oh my God, no, I don't want any more email from you. Please leave me alone forever. Give them that option because A, you're obligated to, and B, an unsubscribe is always better than being flagged as spam. But give them a way to back out without it being quite so suicidal, right? Give them a communication preference form. Say, if you don't like this email, uncheck that box and pick something different, right? Like if I'm getting information about a service that I'm not interested in, it doesn't mean I'm not interested in the business. It just means I've been mis-segmented, or I've changed my mind, or maybe I was interested in a product before and now I'm not interested in that product. I'm looking at other options. So giving your subscribers that non-lethal method of segmenting themselves is incredibly valuable. It's going to save you a lot of digging time. And plus, if you make it easy, then your customers are going to give you sales information about themselves anyway, right? If I say, I've lost interest in product A, I'm actually interested in product B, that gives your marketing team a whole other way to market to me. Like, oh, great, now we can start nurturing you on the B path instead. And then, of course, because you don't want to get fined, because you don't want to run into legislative issues, stay up to date on spam legislation. Canada just passed some new guidelines for spam, and we've been working with our clients to help them update their campaign protocols based on that. But ultimately, whether you're working with a vendor, whether you're working on your own with a tool, it's your responsibility to keep an eye on that stuff, and it's just the safe thing to do, right? Be aware of what spam is legally, and then keep in mind all those other tips that I mentioned. So again, this is me just hammering at the same point, content. It's the only thing that matters. All of this other stuff, campaign structure, landing pages, click-throughs, metrics, ROI, spam legality, all of this stuff is great information, obviously, and important, but it doesn't matter if your content is bad. Your content should always be relevant to the audience. It should be specific. Don't make it general. Don't say, we have deals. Say, here's a deal for you, and this is why we think that deal is valuable, right? And the value comes from things like sales opportunities obviously are there, but just good content is valuable on its own. Thought leadership, stuff like, we know and care about this topic, we're going to impart that information to you, and you're going to build trust with your audience, as long as you're putting it in the right hands. Make sure you're doing your segmentation and that it's getting to the right audience. If you're writing about, the opening of a new location, make sure the only people that get that email are people who might visit that location. If I live in Vancouver, I don't care you opened a new store in Toronto, right? I might be happy for you. I like your business. Great, but I'm never going to go there. So keep that content focused, keep it valuable, keep it relevant, and people will respond positively to it, I promise. So integration, I mentioned earlier, as a part that is really important. And here's a little bit of a flow chart that can kind of give you an idea of how your email system might play with your other tools you have available. So the email system, obviously, the simplest path here is from your email to your website, right? That's where your landing pages live. That's where conversions happen. Email drives to your website, no problem. Your website, as you record information, might be passing it to a lead database, right? As you get form fills, and that lead database is going to plug in maybe back to your email system, right? So there's a circle there where leads that are captured on the website, whether they're by way of an email campaign or they're brand new leads, get stored in that database, segmented, and then you can use them in your email system. Now maybe your customer success team integrates with your website. Maybe they use your email system to communicate with cases. Maybe you have a CRM system like Salesforce, for example. That'll communicate with your lead database, with your CS team, through email, and then traditional marketing will tie in too through that, again, through that lead database. So there's a lot of stuff that might be going on. And you might have other tools available. You might have a product that you sell that integrates into this some way. The idea is, the point is that your email system should be deriving information from all the other pieces of your marketing and operational structure, right? The concept of united we stand, divided we fall applies just as well to marketing, right? If you separate your email system from the rest of your marketing campaign, from the rest of your operations, it's not going to work. So finding a tool that allows you to integrate your email system into all of the other tools that you're using is obviously really important. You want to automate that as much as possible. So I'm going to take a quick look to see if we have any questions, and I have a feeling that the only question. Yes, so the common question, I see it a few times. So yeah, this webinar will be available on our website in our resources section. You'll be able to download it or watch it on stream there, and I'll make sure everybody gets that link after the webinar. If you have any other questions, I'm noticing there aren't any in chat currently. You can get in touch with me, and I'll give you my email information and a place where you can do that in just 1 second. So before I go, I just wanted to talk about what Marqui does. Just a real brief, give you an oversight of sort of what Marqui is about. So at Marqui, we provide a software platform that does email marketing. Obviously, it's where I derived a lot of my my expertise from. And on top of that, we integrate lead management, web content management, including blogging, multi-channel campaign tracking. So if you're doing external campaigns outside of email, Marqui can track those for you. And we integrate with most major CRM systems. So if you remember that, we'll go back to that that diagram. You know, we do the email piece, we integrate with the CRM, we have a lead database built in, and we manage full-on websites. So, you know, there's a lot of different stuff that Marqui can do. And then on top of that, to support it, we provide design and build services, strategic service on top of that, which is what I do. A lot of my day is taken up with strategic services, content creation, campaign planning, and then ultimately campaign execution. So if you're looking to build a website primarily for marketing, you're looking to integrate email, integrate multi-channel, integrate your CRM into that system, and really kick up your digital marketing, Marqui is the place to do it. And if you want more information about Marqui, you know, how we stack up against our competitors, the different options that we offer, you'll be able to do that on our website, or you can get in touch with me directly. So as a matter of transparency, I want to show you kind of what you can expect from Marqui. You know, we use email primarily to communicate with folks. This little arrow here is what you'll see next. So as attendees of the webinar, you'll get a follow-up email with a link to download the webinar, to view it again if you missed it, or to share it if you like. And then because you signed up, you're on a nurture path within our email system. So you'll automatically get an opportunity to sign up for our newsletter. You'll get some information about our blog, link to a demo video of Marqui, and then an opportunity, if you're still interested, in learning a little bit more about the Marqui system by way of a live demo. Now, of course, at any point during this process, you can use our system to kind of resegment yourself if you're looking for a little more information or a little less, or at any time you can just jump the queue and communicate with someone directly. But this is what you can expect from Marqui in the next, you know, few weeks or so. So if you want to get in touch with me directly, the best way to do that is visit marqui.com/Adam. That's my own personal landing page. You can fill out the form there, and it'll send an email to me, and I'll get in touch with you either by email or by phone if you prefer. Thank you so much for coming. I know that email marketing can be a complicated topic, especially if you are brand new to it. So I hope that this webinar gave you some insight into the way that email marketing works. And if you're viewing on the website, I hope you take a minute to take a look around Marqui and see what we can do. I'll be sending all of you follow-up emails with more information where you can download the webinar. Thanks again for coming, everybody, and I hope you learned something here at